Hello and welcome to another episode of the ZTV Sports Report, your home for all things Akron Zips Athletics. I'm your host, Max Saracey, joined once again by Josh Feaster. Josh, man, been a little bit of a break since this last episode, but we're back to it now, and we got a lot of sports to catch up on. How we feeling?
I'm feeling good. Like you said, it's been a minute, but when we hear it's always a good time, so I'm ready to get into it for real.
Let's get right into it then.
Let's get it.
Don't go anywhere, because the ZTV Sports Report starts now. On today's episode, we're going to be doing things a little bit differently, as instead of our normal segments, we're going to be interviewing various Zips athletes. We're going to start with Angelo Howze from the football team. Here's Davion with that.
What's up, it's Davion, and I'm here with football player Angelo Howze. Angelo, how your day been going?
It's been good, just between school and football, just trying to get it going.
Okay.
Get ready for Kent.
Okay. So first off, I want to start by asking you if you could tell me about your football journey. Like, where are you from, and how did you come to be a Zip?
I'm from Alabama, just starting out, but I got to be in Akron by both my parents were in the military, so I moved around a lot, and I ended up going to school in multiple places. But I ended up initially going to college at Cincinnati and playing there a couple of years and then transferring here.
All right, so what do you feel is your biggest strength as a player?
I think my biggest strength is the fact that I have really good knowledge of the game. I think, not to brag or anything, but I think I'm a pretty smart football player. So, a lot of times I can read an offense and, I'll know whether they're running or passing kind of which direction before they even hike the ball, really. So I think that's one of my biggest strengths.
You can just go off of, what you feel. Yeah. Okay, that's nice. So what do you feel is your team's biggest keys to success on the defensive side?
I think our biggest keys is the fact that, one, we can play together, is our discipline, and the fact that we all believe in each other and the coaches to come up with a great game plan for us, and also for us to execute as well as a team. And just at the end of the day, we know that we have each other's backs and that we're going to go out there and play for our brothers, really. That's
good that y'all have that trust and brotherhood with each other. That's very important. So what is your major, and why did you choose that major?
I'm a biochemistry major, and the reason I chose to become a biochemistry major is the fact that my mom's a doctor, and she's a major influence on me growing up. My uncle is also another major influence on me in the fact that he was one person who I saw never quit, and no matter what he was going on in his life, he never had a bad day, and I've always wanted to be able to help people, and he's always one that taught me to help people. I think the best opportunity for me to do that is through becoming a doctor.
Yeah, that's really nice, and that's important that you had that kind of influence around you, so that's really good. So what do you feel is your short-term and long-term goal after college?
Short-term goal is just getting into med school, and honestly, anywhere, whether it be at Neo-Med or Texas, California, anywhere, doesn't matter as long as I get there.
Right.
And I think long-term would be being a doctor and then also eventually working my way up to running a hospital.
Okay, now that's nice. I feel like that you have a very good head on your shoulder. It's good that you got plans on outside of football too, and that you even got your plans as being a football player. Now that you got this game against Kent this weekend, what are y'all guys doing to prepare for that?
I think one thing that we're focusing a lot on this week is a lot of detail. Kent is a good team, and they play fast and strong, and I think the thing that we need to focus on is playing with great detail and execution, and at the end of the day, just being a stronger, more physical team than they are and playing faster. And if they want to play fast, we just got to play faster. If they want to play strong, we got to be stronger. And I think that at the end of the day, like I said earlier, as long as we come together as a team and have each other's backs, we're going to beat Kent. That's no issue with that.
Okay, well, I like that confidence, and with that confidence, I feel like y'all going to beat them, okay?
Oh, yeah, we will.
So it was very nice talking to you and learning so much about you. I'm happy that you have all those details and even plans outside of football, and even with your plans inside of football. So this is Angelo Howze. This is Davion with ZTV. Go Zips.
Go Zips.
Thank you, Davion, and thank you, Angelo, for sitting down with us. And Josh, looking at this football team in their recent games, can't say we've been seeing what we would like to. I think in the last episode we left off with that Bowling Green game, and following that, they dropped a game to Ohio by 21, lost 55-34. And the offense is the offense was where we needed it to be. Irons threw for over 400 yards. Shockey had 150. Daniel George had 100, bro. But when you're giving up 55 points, you're just never going to win games. You're never going to win them. So, next week they go face Central, and close loss again. 28-21. Josh, what are your thoughts with this Central game, man?
Man, we should have beat Central. I'm going to be honest. We should have beat Central. First things first, defense. I mean, we did low-key give up a lot of points, but Bubba was out there going crazy. Bubba was hitting, led the team in tackles. Our offense was doing what they needed to do, especially towards the end, them last few drives. It was that fumble for real. That's what really gave it away. Mm-hmm. Like, we were driving, 2 minutes left. They tried to run the option. I think DJ was trying to pull the ball back. Wiley tried to keep it. That fumble cost it. And then they picked it up and scored. That, it hurt.
It was a rough sequence.
It hurt to see.
It hurt to see. So, dude, it's just frustrating because they're getting so close. They're just not bringing home the wins. So following Central, another close loss.
Kent.
33-27 against Kent. Similar stories as to what we've been talking about all year long. What did you really see with this Kent game?
Man, the Kent game, first things first, DJ, he was balling out. DJ balled out. He threw for almost 400. I think he had 380.
Yeah.
And then Alex Adams, he had 200 receiving yards. So, our offense, once again, real high powered, at least passing the ball. Mm-hmm. We got to get better running the ball for sure. We got to lock in on defense, too. That's really our things.
Yeah. Speaking a little bit about the rushing aspect of the game, I didn't mention this when we talked about Central, but the Zips had 20 rushing yards that game. And it didn't obviously it was better in the Kent game, but not by that much. So
look, we have 660 rushing yards on the season. Mm-hmm. Our quarterback is leading in rushing yards. Yeah. That's not going to win games.
It's not. And then in their most recent game, 27-9, defeated against Miami. That one wasn't that close, unfortunately. Obviously, some positive things here again. Adams and Shockey both had 100-plus yards. But outside of DJ Irons with 58, they only had 22 rush yards as a team. So you're not going to win games that way. But the season's not over. Hopefully they can, just pick something up and get some sort of a spark going. What would you say are the biggest keys to them for the rest of the season? What do they need to tighten up on?
For the rest of the season, like I said, we got to be able to run the ball. DJ shouldn't be our offense. Mm-hmm. He should not be our whole offense for real. Well, I can't say whole offense because our receivers are going crazy, but we got to establish some type of run game. And then our defense got to tighten up too, for sure.
Yep. And, hopefully we see those things. Nothing we can do sitting back here, but just hope. So hopefully we see some good things.
For sure.
So from here, we're going to head into our first commercial break. And when we come back, we'll be checking in with Baylee Vought of the volleyball team. Stay tuned.
You're watching ZTV.
I hate this history textbook. Class is so boring.
You think your class is boring? My science lab is 5 hours long. I can barely remember anything.
If only there was a fun way to learn this stuff.
Hey, check this out!
History and science don't have to be boring. 5-minute flashback and 300 seconds of science cover tons of cool topics. You can learn about subjects such as the science behind bilingualism, all the way to the history of Godzilla. Become the teacher and educate others about your passions. Check us out on 45-1 at these times. Have fun learning!
How prepared is your family if disaster shows up at your doorstep? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan before they show up. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
let's go.
You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes!
Make a plan today.
You're watching ZTV.
Welcome back. Recently, Josh sat down with Baylee Vought from the volleyball team and had a good conversation with her. Here is that interview.
What's good, y'all? This is Josh, and I'm here with Baylee Vought from the Akron volleyball team. First things first, thanks for sitting with me. How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm glad to be here. How are you doing?
I'm feeling good. Let's get right into the questions, honestly. So you committed to Akron as a junior in high school, and that's a long way from home for you. So, like, what is it that made you choose Akron?
Yeah, so I did want to be a ways away from home. I wanted to experience something different than Charlotte, North Carolina. But I came on my visit, and I just honestly fell in love with the campus and the people. They were funny, they were awesome to be around, and that's what honestly made it. So after I came home, I was like, man, I can really see myself there the next chapter in my life. And so it was just the people and the environment that really made it what it is.
That's dope. I love that for you. Anyway, you redshirted your freshman year, and you had an immediate impact on the court. Like, you're leading the team in assists. So what is it like to have such a big role on the team as such a young player?
Honestly, it can be difficult at times, but we're all going through new. We had a new hire, new coach, new staff, and we're learning new system, new offense. But my other setter that I'm working with, Avery Brown, she's also technically a freshman like me. And I feel like we're doing a pretty good job, connecting with our hitters and putting them in positions where they can succeed. Again, it's definitely difficult at times, but I think it's a good thing that we're so young, because if we're young, we can take this time now to grow and develop our connections. That way we can be really successful in the next couple years.
What do you think that the team needs to focus on to be more successful in the future?
Honestly, it comes down to two things: consistency and execution. We've proven in the past that we can do great things. We went out and we beat Western Michigan, who finished top 5 in our conference last year, and we beat Kent State, our rivals, in 3 sets. We've proven that we can do great things. We competed with Ohio, we competed with Ball State, we competed with these good teams, but honestly, it's about being consistent. So we got to come out the same way in the first set as we do in the third or fourth set and stuff like that. And then when it comes down to it, we got to make the smart plays, be in the right place at the right time to make the plays we need to make.
That's dope. I love to see it. Anyway, y'all, this is Josh with the ZTV Sports Report. Once again, I wanted to thank Baylee for coming out, talking to me.
Of course, yeah.
All right. Peace.
Go Zips! Woo!
Thank you, Josh, and thank you, Baylee, for sitting down with us. So talking about this volleyball team, Josh, from where we left off, they lost 3 straight games after that, only picking up 1 set between the 3 games. The third of those losses was against Kent State, and luckily they were able to bring it back the next day and get back at Kent and sweep them 3-0. So that's always nice to see. What were your takeaways with that game?
The Kent game was fire to watch for real, because it was so close. Mm-hmm. First set went 25-27.
27-25.
Second one 24-26. So they had to win by 2 each set. Each set's going above 25.
Yeah.
And I love to see that out of the Zips team, just because it shows that they can clutch up in them big moments. So
definitely puts that clutch gene on display.
For sure.
Because that's, to be able to step up with a close game like that and, persevere every set, that's just a huge accomplishment.
Yeah.
And looking at some of the specific performances that game, Faith Johnson led the way with 12 kills. No surprise there. She's a dog. Avery Brown had 18 assists. Baylee, who we just talked to, had 15 assists. And Lauren Lotka had 18 digs. So solid numbers all the way around. And we're really happy they were able to pick up that win.
Yes,
unfortunately, since that win, it's just been losses all the way. Four straight losses since that. Lost 2 to OU, 1 to Central Michigan. And then they unfortunately fell to Eastern in 5 sets.
Man, that Eastern game hurt.
It hurt. And because that's an Eastern team that is not very good. They're not very good. So that's if there's ever a game that you want to come out with a win, that's it. So pretty disappointing.
We were up 2-1. I thought we had it. I thought we were taking that. It is what it is.
It is what it is, bro.
Happens.
So from here, they've got about 5 games left in the season. And obviously, they're likely not going to be competing for any sort of MAC championship. But what do you think are some big takeaways that the team can learn from moving into the end of this season and next season beyond that?
Like I said, I said this all season, though. This team has showed flashes all season. I feel like they have everything they need. Kent game definitely showed that. They showed some of that against Eastern. So I think it's all just they need to execute, lock in, finish this season strong and just look forward to next season.
Exactly. Hopefully they can pick up a couple more wins to finish this season strong.
For sure.
So we'll see what we see, So from here, we're going to shift over to the soccer teams. We're going to start with the women's soccer team as Megan interviews Ella Hadley. Here's that.
How are you doing today, Ella?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing great today. So, could you talk to me a little bit about your soccer journey and how you ended up here at Akron?
Yeah, so I started my search for schools. I knew that I wanted to play soccer in college. I started looking at schools that were a little farther away from home. And then as soon as I got out there, I realized that maybe I wanted to stick closer to home. Mm-hmm. So I came on a tour to Akron after the coaches saw me play, and I just fell in love with the campus. It was beautiful, and then I met a few girls that were on the team, and they were super nice and inviting, and it just seemed like the place that I wanted to go to school and spend my 4 years. So,
what would you say your biggest strength is as a player?
As a player, I think my first touch is really good, and then I'm also good at holding up the ball. So the coaches this year, I'm originally a midfielder, and they saw that and kind of adapted. And so they put me at center forward. And then also, I think I'm a pretty smart player, so I know what runs to make and at what time.
You've been scoring a lot of goals this season. What has been working so well for you offensively?
I think as a team, we've come a long way, and I have my teammates to thank for a lot of the goals that I've scored. So getting to know each other, both on and off the field better, and learning some of your teammates' tendencies, I think helps a lot. And knowing, if I want the ball at my feet or if I want the ball down the line.
So you're one of 13 sophomores on the roster. Would you say that increases the competitiveness among the team?
Yeah, I think that does increase the competitiveness, but it's really nice having such a big class, because last year we were all living in the dorms, so we would all live on the same floor, and you could just go over and talk to our friends because they were just right across the hall. So it's really nice coming in with a big class because they're like your built-in best friends. I mean, you spend every day with them, so it's great. But also, I think it's good having such a large class because of the competitiveness, because if there is none, then there's no room for you to grow, and there's no pressure to be the best player that you can be.
You recently beat Toledo 5-0. What was working so well for you guys as a team that day?
Like I said, we've been focusing a lot on culture this year and just getting to know each other better. So I think that has helped a lot in the success of our team, and also just focusing on the tactical components of the game coming together. Our coaches are really good at that. We have slideshows that we're supposed to look at before the games. So just knowing your role too, and just a combination of all those things helped us to be successful against Toledo.
Moving forward this season, what could you guys do as a team to be more successful?
I think just focusing on consistency during the games, and remembering all the things that we've worked so hard for in the past weeks of the season. Also just going into the game with the mindset that we can win. I think that's very important. And then if we bring everything together, I think we can be very successful.
This is Megan with the ZTV Sports Report, and go Zips!
Thank you, Megan, and thank you, Ella. So Josh, where we left off with this team, they hadn't seen the best stretch of games. They were on a 7-game losing streak, I believe. Luckily, they did snap that with a 3-1 win at Northern Illinois. And Ella actually had 2 goals that game, which is nice to see. From there, they would have a couple ties, Ball State and Central Michigan, and then they would follow that up with a 3-1 loss at Western. But they followed that Western game up with a 5-0 win against Toledo in a game that very easily could have been 7-0 or 8-0. The Zips just absolutely dominated that game. Where do you stand with that?
And like you said, it was total domination. Then they definitely could have scored more. You're absolutely right. Because I feel like towards the end of the game, they low-key let up a little bit. Mm-hmm. But it's still cool because first, 5-zip, we ain't never did that to a MAC opponent. So that's our best game in MAC history. And then 5 goals, that's our 5th best game in program history. So you love to see that for them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Solid.
So looking at some of the key players that game, Emma King had 2 goals and an assist. And then Ella Hadley and Katie Stafford both had a goal and an assist. So really nice. Seeing a lot from some of the leaders on this team, Emma and Ella. They're both very solid players who have contributed a lot towards the end of the season. And just what a game that Toledo game was. Offense was popping off. Defense was holding the fort down. And it was just great to see. So from there, they did close the season on a 2-0 loss against OU, which it's always disappointing to end the season on a loss. But you think about where this team was in the middle of the season and how they finished, and there's a lot of improvement to be seen. They finished, I believe, 2-2-2 in their last 6 games, which honestly you'll take that all day. So moving forward, Josh, what do you think are the big things to focus on with this team?
Well, I mean, this team, I feel good about them, like, just moving forward just because they're so young. Like, next year, we're still going to have Emma King. We're still going to have Ella Hadley. Like, we're going to have a bunch of returning players, plus some new talent.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking they just need to keep working, keep growing, and show out next season. There ain't really too much to be said.
Yeah, expectations will be a little higher.
For sure.
Considering you're bringing back the same squad, but they're all going to be more experienced, more developed. So hopefully we see some good things moving into next season.
For sure.
So from here, we're going to take our second and final commercial break. When we come back, we're going to close the show with a discussion on the men's soccer team. Stay tuned.
You're watching ZTV.
Stem is precise, no margin for error.
Dare to forget that. Dare to have fun with it. Get weird with it. Dare to send those old STEM theories flying past the neighbor's house into outer space. Dare to program something internet-breaking, record-breaking. Dare to blow their minds. Dare to learn the difference between sedimentary and metamorphic rock. Go find those rocks. Dare to keep daring. Dare to STEM. Check out She Can STEM to get started.
You're watching ZTV.
Thank you to every player who took the time to come in and chat with us. So, Josh, finishing the episode on our discussion about the men's soccer team, where we last left them, they had just tied Bowling Green. They followed that up exactly how they needed to with an 8-0 win at Chicago State. Granted, Chicago State isn't necessarily a juggernaut of a team, at least this season. But it's nice to know that the Zips played to their full ability.
Right.
And an important thing to note with that game is every goal was scored by a different player, which is that's a very impressive aspect of that game. Moving forward, big 1-0 win at Western Michigan. They drew against Bowling Green again, so that's not good to see. But Bowling Green just plays so defensive like that. Like, they're playing for the tie the whole way through.
For sure.
So they succeeded on that front, unfortunately. Zips came back with a 2-1 win at Northern Illinois, and they were actually down 1-0 heading into the 70th minute. So that's nice to see the resilience for them to come back and get the win.
For sure.
So Josh, just give me your thoughts on this team.
Man, right now, this Zips soccer team is, like, looking great.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they haven't lost a game since Penn State. That's 8 games. So in the last 8 games, they've been going crazy. They're 6-0-2. They're outscoring everybody they're playing crazy. Like, the last 8, 20-3. Like, so our offense is going stupid. Our defense is going stupid. Like, you're not scoring on it.
Yeah.
So I love to see it. Coming up, we got Chicago State again. Like, I'm not really too worried about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, granted, we do need to come out and play hard, but last time we played them, Zip, like,
mm-hmm.
So
hopefully we see something along those lines again.
Yeah, I want 9 this time. But we do got another big one coming up, though. We got Western Michigan coming. And Western Michigan's nice. There's only one team in the MAC that beat them. You know who it is?
You already know, baby.
So You feel me? We just got to come out, do what we got to do against Western Michigan, finish this season strong, though. I feel good about this team.
Take some dubs to end the season for sure.
For sure.
So to wrap up our discussion, I do want to shout out a couple players in specific. Jason Shukaluk, 7 goals and 6 assists on the season. He's just such a solid player. He's so, like, I don't know exactly how to describe it, but he's a defense's worst nightmare because he's on you all day. Like his pressure is up to 100, and that's reflected in his great stats this season.
Bags.
I also want to mention Dyson Claypier, who I stupidly did not mention in our first episode when we were recapping the roster. But bro, he's so good, dude. He's like Gareth Bale-esque, and his touch and his pace down the wing, and he's got 7 goals and 4 assists. And no, that's just 2 players among a multitude of solid players. So, hopefully we just keep playing strong. I'm not entirely sure if this team, as of right now, is on a national championship level, but I think they've got that capability within them. So if they really just, buckle down and get hot heading into the postseason, they could go all the way, bro.
For sure.
Let's be real.
For sure.
So hopefully we see that and see some good things in the postseason. So that'll wrap it up for this episode of the ZTV Sports Report. You can follow us on social media at ZTV Sports on Instagram and Twitter, and at ZTV Sports Report on YouTube. And be sure to stay tuned for our 5th and final episode of the season. Not only will we be recording it live, but we'll be concluding our discussion about the fall sports, along with previewing the basketball teams. As always, I'm Max Saracey.
I'm Josh Feaster.
Thank you for watching, and go Zips.
This program was produced by ZTV at the University of Akron. Do you want to gain experience in video production, professional social media, or working with real clients? Visit the UA School of Communications online or follow us on social media to learn more. ZTV, make media, make a difference.